What's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas back with you. As the kids say, we are so back after the non-record issues of last week, where we did not hit the record button. What was that, Thursday night? I can't remember now. They all blend together. All the dads out there, hope you guys had a great Father's Day weekend. It was hot. It was stormy late. That has been the trend lately. We are going to talk about why we've had the storms kind of fire late. That was the theme of the weekend. Certainly, we were dodging some afternoon thunderstorms, but the most widespread stuff erupted after the sunset. So we're going to talk about that a lot tonight. We have a few of those storms out there right now. The live look that you had during the countdown, courtesy of our friends at WeatherStem. Live look at South Daytona above my head, where you can see some lightning in the distance. And then also to below my body in the Brady Bunch boxes is Kissimmee. So shout out to anybody in Kissimmee. Boy, West Orange County, holy cow, these storms have been picking on us. Same for East Lake County, from Eustis to Severies, Zellwood into Apopka. Some rock and thunderstorms last night for sure. I was trying to get the dog out for like an hour and a half, and just could not do it. There was way too much lightning, so I had to stay up late. A lot of coffee today to supply that, but enough to hit that live button. So I hope everybody's doing well. Eric, hope you're doing well. Melissa, hope you're doing well. A lot of people joining on YouTube tonight and the clickorlando.com stream. If you are watching on YouTube, do me a favor. Post in the comments where you're tuning in from this evening. If you're watching on clickorlando.com, you just got that push alert in the palm of your hand. You're watching there. There's a chat box in the story. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you love the stream, if you hate the stream, if you would change something about the stream, where we just hang out together Monday through Friday, chit chat about the weather and whatever, mostly about the weather. Whatever you want to talk about, we are good to go on there. Let's talk about this thing first, and then we'll get into the why. You know me, I'm always about the why. Loud tonight in and around Apopka again. We'll take you closer in, especially south of Apopka. The heaviest rain over the lake right now, moving into Oakland or out of Oakland. Still some heavy rain. But do I have anybody watching tonight from West Orange County or Eastern Lake, Killarney? If you've not been on the West Orange Trail before, that might be my favorite part of the state. Holy cow. The West Orange Trail going into South Lake County, beautiful, beautiful. I love the Lake Apopka area. And Melissa's going to bring me to my next point. Ooh, this is a good question. This is one of those tangents. That is not it. The technical difficulties tonight. Holy cow. I've had to like fend off. Let me get the correct thing to bring the comments over. Somebody must have came in here and like wiped all of my presets this weekend. Wild stuff happening in the Digital Weather Center tonight. So it's been me versus technology. And we can talk a little bit about AI. We're going to get to the comment about the New 6 Hurricane app in just 1 second. Let me bring over my... There we go. Now it should work. Okay. All right. I give up. Now it's blank. So we're going to go comment list tonight, but we're going to read the questions. I will read them out loud. My apologies for that. I have no idea what the heck is going on with this tonight. But the question was, is the New 6 Hurricane app still available? Good question. The short answer, it is not. The short other answer is the New 6 weather app now has those hurricane features in there. So we've kind of fused the two together. So if you don't have the New 6 weather app, I would suggest that you download it. It is free, and I think it's even better than ever, at least in terms of what you can do. On the homepage, you can scroll all the way down and you're going to see a bunch of hurricane stuff, and there's going to be a hurricane tracker there, and you can do it interactively this time, where you could not do that before. So you can add different overlays and things like that. So it is a really, really powerful tool, not only to track hurricanes, but if you are in the greater Central Florida area and want to stay updated on the weather here, it's the best tool for it. You may have heard about some models stinking lately. Well, your stock weather app, since we got onto this tangent, pulls in raw model data. The model or the forecast that you get from us on the New 6 weather app, it's actually put in. The numbers are put in by real meteorologists. Candace does it in the morning. I update it into the evening. Samara, Julie, Michelle, David, all in there looking at those numbers and everything. So it is being looked at by a real life meteorologist and not just some stupid computer. Now, I do like the computers. They help a lot. Guidance, not gospel though. Um, but it's a great tool. There is, I think, I'm trying to see where it says if you scroll, if you download it, if you what you can track. I was trying to see if there's active storms out in the East Pacific. So I'll show you. Like this is what it looks like. I think it's kind of cool. But that's I'm trying to zero it in. But that's what it looks like. That's one of the interactive one. That's an active storm out in the East Pacific now. So if you download that, you can play with it in the different overlays. So I would suggest you do that, and then you can get to know it. Hopefully, we don't have to track a storm for a very, very long time. But it's it's a really, really cool tool to use. And by the way, if you are in the greater Central Florida area, the radar has a brand new update. It is much more accurate. That was when we switched to different developers, there was an issue. It is brand spanking new now. It looks great. One thing that we are getting, some of the new updates were a little buggy in the sense that it took away the loop and the forward. Our developers are aware. We've made them aware. We've taken your emails. We've taken your emails and sent them to our developers. They know the situation. They are working it. So we're gonna get that back. I'll keep you posted night by night. I'm just texting Ken. You guys know Ken from last week. He's our producer. He's asking me about leading the show tonight. So I'm just telling him that we do have storms out there. Um, this is how we communicate because we're live on the stream. So that's some of the behind the scenes. He's working on stacking his show for the 11 o'clock, balancing the news and some of the weather. So you'll see that in live action on at 11 o'clock. I hope you guys join us. Okay. I don't think you're going to get any storms in New Smyrna Beach, and we're going to talk about why in just 1 second. Here's the deal. Notice how everything is kind of west of I-4. That was a terribly drawn shape. Um, Everything's west of I-4 and kind of drifting to the north. That was really the same deal as last night and also the night before. I'll show you in a better graphic, but I'm going to poorly draw what's going on right now. We have a big chunk of high pressure out at sea. Airflow around high pressure is clockwise, okay? So we have that going on. So with the heating of the day, we ignite the sea breeze. One on the Gulf Coast, one on the Atlantic coast. There's the forecast challenge on a day-to-day basis is okay, storm motion, which sea breeze is dominant, which way the storm's going to go. Because I know when I first started, when back in the day when I got here, it was always like, oh, just say it's gonna be stormy and hot every single day. You'll never get the forecast wrong. I don't I don't roll that way. I like to have a little more certainty. And while I can't tell you exactly if it's going to rain at 4 o'clock at your house, I can tell you who's going to have the better shot. So Michelle, geez, I'm thinking of. I was just talking about Michelle on the team. Melissa was talking about, okay, are we going to get rain in New Smyrna Beach? And the answer to that is no, and it's because of that high pressure. There's always the shot, and even with an East Coast dominant regime as we are in, we'll normally pop a couple of storms right around I-95, kind of right in here, and then those are quickly going to move inland. Okay, so those are going to be forced in by the East Coast sea breeze. And that's going to be forced in because we have this big chunk of high pressure out here kind of forcing everything inland into the Gulf Coast. So we have a much bigger bully, if you will, to push everything inland. So that's one of the things that we've been dealing with over the past couple of days. We talked about that last week, which is one of the reasons why we were going to see the change again from those crazy days. One of those with high pressure at 15,000 feet. The other one was um, uh, that high pressure off the coast pushing in. I told you that I would show you a much better graphically drawn that I was working on. And this is the big picture here. High pressure over Bermuda. That is our Bermuda high. We have it not only supplying us with moisture back into Central Florida, but we also have it pumping in. It's also forcing the storms from east to west. So until that chunk of high pressure breaks down, we won't have rain coming back to the east. All right, he says also unrelated, when will the user interface improve over time with the weather app? It's been really different since the last major update. Yeah, and that's where that is because we had to change weather vendors, so we're at the mercy of that. That's why the user interface change. It's going to continue to be. It's going to continue to be updated. It's going to continue to improve. If you have any suggestions to that, we take them right to the developers. So please put that in the comments if you have any suggestions. I think it has improved significantly from where we started from about last year, in my opinion, anyway. And I think the radar is better. It's going to continue to evolve and get better as we get our own developers in there. But yeah, it's been a work in progress. But the one main thing now that I will endorse on that is the radar. We worked at length. It's now going to be your most accurate radar app there is. So put your location markers on. It will alert you to lightning and things like that. Big life saving tool, especially if you're outside doing yard work or something, and it'll tell you when lightning's within 10 miles. Okay, so here's the deal. Future Radar doing a nice job, and there it is again, the late night fashion of those storms. So let me take you out to tomorrow, and it's the same kind of deal. Notice most of the afternoon is dry. Commute time, you might be doing a little dodging in terms of the thunderstorms, okay? But then look what happens again. We flare things up again west of Orlando, west of I-4, because it is being pushed by that East Coast sea breeze. So I think most of your afternoon, if you're taking lunch outside, although it's going to be hot and sticky, is going to be dry. Maybe golfing, dry, but furnace. But then it's late at night again. So when we're hanging out, probably, so tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, we're likely going to be tracking storms again. Maybe even, certainly, I think to a more widespread degree, from Apopka to Zellwood, Tangerine, maybe Winter Garden, Oakland, Mineola, Claremont, and then certainly closer to I-75. So we'll wait and see. We'll look and see if this pans out. But I agree with it. It's been the trend until we see that high pressure breakdown out over the Atlantic. This is going to be the same kind of deal for us over the next couple of days. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we're talking about in terms of the weather. Drier along the Atlantic coast. Certainly some downpours and thunderstorms are possible quick in the early afternoon. That's as the sea breeze fires up. But then that stuff leaves you. Let me see if I can get a better camera. Let me look at the radar now. Let's see if these storms have come back into camera view. That is obviously not Florida. I was looking at Texas the other day. There were some nasty storms rolling through Texas. Let me turn back on my bells and whistles here. We have the best radar tools in real time. All right, so let's get the lightning counter fired up. We have 12 strikes. No alerts, no warnings. This is not going to be strong or anything. But there are the downpours around Apopka. Zellwood, you're going to be getting that soon. Tangerine into Mount Dora as well. Most of the heavy stuff over Lake Apopka. Montverde, we're just getting in on the heavy stuff. Mineola into Claremont. That's coming your way. Deltona, we've joined the party. Let's put a loop on that. That should be moving towards Casadega, Lake Helen, Orange City. Let me see. I'm going to check my camera network and see if I have anything near Lake Apopka to catch some lightning. Bear with me, and then we'll get into some tropics. Hey, Tiffany, good to see you. Yeah, the WeatherWise app's all right. It's all right. There's been some things lately that I don't agree with on it. You might know what I'm getting at. But there's some wild things that they're trying. These storms are literally like in my dead zone of cameras. All right, let's see if this is, I don't know which way this is facing, but we're going to go to Lockhart. We're going to go to Lockhart and see if that's pointing west. I mean, it looks like it is. Those clouds are dark. Come on, load. All right, so we're going to change the name to the locator. We've gone from South Daytona into Lockhart. And I think we're looking west because you can, I mean, even though it's night out, you can see all those clouds. So we'll wait to see if we catch any lightning on that camera. Before we get into the tropics, since Melissa brings up the wildfire threat, this is kind of how the show was born several months ago as we were getting into the drought situation that, again, a lot of us are still in. So and that's the one crazy thing about Florida, in my opinion. I think maybe even more than, I mean, I guess if you have terrain, if you have mountains and things like that, that's going to really impact your day-to-day variance with the weather. So we're not like that extreme. But in terms of the way the sea breeze delivers the rain, it's very different. So remember these numbers that we showed you back in March as we were watching these numbers climb, as we've been begging for rain really since Hurricane Milton left. 500 is that critical number for burn bans to be issued. Most counties enact an automatic burn ban when that Keach-Byram drought index number gets to 500. You see, most of us, well, all of us, are under that 500 mark. Marion, we're the closest. Sumter, we like to be a little bit lower than that. Lake, we've had significant, those numbers drop significantly. We are doing pretty good in Volusia, Seminole, and Orange. Osceola, Brevard, we're getting up there as well. Flagler, we're doing okay. The issue with these numbers will be, and to Melissa's point, it's an average of the soil moisture over the entire county. So some places are going to be way higher than 215, and some places are going to be lower than that. And that depends upon, your very, very local part. The one bad thing about getting the rain and not getting enough is that it helps the vegetation grow and then that vegetation burn. So that's something that we always watch out for. And then, of course, what do storms bring? Lightning. And then that brings the automatic trigger to Florida again. And there's a lot of things to ignite. Show of hands, who has signed up for my Tropics Watch newsletter? I think there was a pretty cool entry tonight. If you're not signed up, click orlando.com/newsletters. If you're watching this on the big screen on a smart TV or something like that on News 6 Plus or on YouTube, you can take your smartphone and scan the QR code. that will take you to clickorlando.com/newsletters, and you can put your email in and you can sign up for my Tropics Watch newsletter. It is free. Today's entry was all about artificial intelligence. I don't know if you guys saw last week. I posted something about it on my Facebook page, Jonathan Kegas News 6. That is a shameless plug. But we talked about AI. Google got into the weather forecasting game last week and introduced their new AI model. So while I do not want anything coming close to land, I am excited to use it to track fish storms this year and see how well it does. In testing for the last 2 years, it did very, very well. Um, all things considered, it is not going to replace humans, that's for sure, but it is another tool in the toolbox to forecast these things. So I think it's a pretty cool it's a pretty cool thing. I have an article on clickorlando.com if you want to read that. And I'm going to make a video to go with that to kind of explain. There's 2 years of testing that they have in their interface now, so you can see how it did versus what actually happened. So it's really cool. That is on clickorlando.com. I'm excited about it for sure. Any way to improve forecast lead time for evacuations, all that stuff, I am all for, obviously. In the Atlantic, look at this. Crickets, we talked about this at length on here and on our Just Weather channel, Just Weather. So if you are a fan of weather content, getting good information, going in depth with the weather, I would also point you in that direction to subscribe to the Just Weather channel. That is on YouTube. Would love if you go over there and do that. We talk all things weather, severe weather across the country, certainly tropics. But we've highlighted this at length here that while the American GFS was going bonkers with a major hurricane anywhere from Florida to Texas, that it was just not going to happen. The Atlantic is not conducive. The East Pacific was going to steal everything. Boy, I mean, we're on, I think, the D storm. Is that right? I mean, holy cow. I think that one formed over the weekend. And you see the red area once again. So a fifth storm could develop. I mean, they are off to a blazing hot start, completely opposite of last year. And I just don't really see anything. Obviously, that's a good thing. Obviously, that's a good thing. I forgot to bring up my long range thing. I'm going to load that up as we speak because one of the other things, too, and especially as we get into the dry season, I like to look long range for cold fronts, and Monday is going to take over that long range feel once we get out of hurricane season. Obviously, we just started, but just something to bring your attention to. I like to look at some of those long range clues. Of course, the forecast doesn't always work out, obviously, when you're looking beyond 7 days or 2 weeks and stuff like that. But that's something too. Okay, so one of the things here that I wanted to show you, this is going to be the European ensembles. So what we're looking at here, and this thing started before I wanted it to, what we're looking at here is the probability for tropical storm formation. And what this is looking at, the European ensembles, it's just like a band. That's how I always describe this. Ensembles are the best thing to use in the longer range because there are different initial conditions put in by human forecasters so that we get a wide variety of solutions. If there's a convergence to a certain solution, there's more confidence in that outcome happening. So, what we have going on here as of Monday night, where we are right now, tropical storm formation is all to the eastern Pacific. And you see there's a very big chance, it's going to be a greater than 85% chance of tropical storm formation. That means 85% of the 51 European ensemble members are on board for developing another named storm in the eastern Pacific that could impact Mexico. So, watching for the eastern Pacific. Nothing in the Atlantic. Now, there had been some fanfare that there could be some crossover juice kind of sneaking in and moving up the Bay of Campeche into the Western Gulf. only 5 to 10% of the modeling is on that. One of the things that caught my attention, it's that purple area. It's higher percentage for tropical depression, of course, that is 1 degree below the tropical storm. But there could be some thunderstorms that roll off of South America and then maybe go into forming something down there closer towards Panama, Nicaragua, Honduras. But it is staying down there, and that is courtesy of that strong Bermuda high that is also forcing our thunderstorms from I-95 inland. And to Melissa's point, okay, it's a rainy season. I thought we're going to get lots of rain. It depends upon the wind direction. And right now, it's just on a favorable time for widespread rain on the Atlantic coast because we have that Bermuda high there pushing everything that fires up along the beaches, along I-95, back inland. So all of this is kind of intertwined. That same high pressure center that's pushing the storms inland is also pushing it to the west. So the one thing I don't like about, I think the WeatherWise is a great app. It's the new thing with the y'all watches. That's going to get weird. It's going to get weird. And like, I think they do a good job on the live stream for sure. I do. It's just, it's going to confuse a lot of people. The Weather Service already does that with their special weather statements and things like that. They no disrespect. They do a fantastic job. I'm sure they're live right now with the storms out there. They do a great job, but it's, I think when you take them out of it to actually explain what's going on and why they're doing it, I think it's going to lead to a big false alarm rate and in confusion, in my opinion. Again, no disrespect to them by any means, because they do a fantastic job on their live streams. I will give them that. So going to the long range model, I'm going to back that up. We are going to start to get into a pretty unfavorable phase. Now, it actually looks a little better than it did a couple of weeks ago. You see that little green blob. Where is my telestrator? I need to bust out the telestrator tonight. It's loading. All right. So here is, we're basically looking for green means that we're looking at anomalous rising motion. Brown or orange represents meaning we're looking at anomalous sinking motion. For an area to be favorable for tropical development, you need to see the green there, okay? More often than not, at least for like a flurry of activity like we had seen through, and let me go back to see. I don't know if this is, so there's for what's going on right now. Okay, so that's like a couple of, this initialized on June 9th. So 5 days ago. And I want to, so yeah, no, Andy's pretty spot on, but I'm pretty sure he's not the one issuing those for every single time that they're on the app. And that's where I think a computer is going to be involved. And that's what I'm talking about. And Andy's not there and Ryan's not there to explain what's happening with that y'all watch like they are on the stream. There's a difference whenever it's kind of broken down and then you left people, and I'm not discrediting what people know or don't know. However, if you have conflicting things between the y'all watch and then what is coming out, officially, that's where I think there could be some issues for the untrained person. I know you have to turn that on and pay for it and everything, so it might not be as bad as I'm saying. But that's my only thing. Again, like I said, they both do a fantastic job. So no disrespect to them. It's just that going to be the generated watch because they obviously can't watch everything to do that on the app. When they're on the stream, that's different. But that's just my 2 cents. My 2 cents with the tropics. All right, I lost there we go. So this is that giant area. So that is what helped spark potentially now 5 named storms in the Eastern Pacific. There's another one that's highlighted for a high chance for tropical development out there. So they are bonkers, way ahead of schedule because of that anomalous rising motion that's brought on by the Madden-Julian oscillation. We can get into that for another time because I'm just about out of time. It is 10:30, and I'm going to have to go, but I do want to show you this, that once we get, this is July 21st, it's not crazy, but you see the sinking motion here, all of that orange, that's an unfavorable signal. It's not as strong as what it was maybe a week or two ago, but it's certainly there. And then we have rising motion out towards Asia, which is, again, not that favorable. And then we have more sinking air. That's through July 28th. So I said it last week, and in my last 30 seconds I have, because I've gone over my time and I need to get ready for the 11 o'clock show. And by the way, if you're in the greater Central Florida area, check us out, 11 o'clock. Latest model data in just coming in. I've yet to look at it because we've been on the stream and getting sidetracked with a lot of great questions tonight. So thank you, Blue Scar. Thank you, Ruthie. And thank you to others that were asking about the app. Really appreciate the conversations tonight. But we're going to have the latest high-resolution data coming up in about 29 minutes for those potential late-night storms and likely late-night storms for some tomorrow. That's a pretty unfavorable look for the Atlantic if we get past the next 10 days or that little thing potentially down closer to Panama. We might go all of June, all of July without seeing a named storm on the Atlantic side. That'd be crazy, not unheard of. Again, it's supposed to be quiet June and July, but we will see. Again, we are about to go in an unfavorable portion and a climatologically speaking low part of hurricane season over the next couple of weeks. So we will keep our eyes peeled to that and keep our fingers crossed that that is going to be the case. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate the conversations. Everybody, thank you for posting to the chat tonight. Thank you for hanging out with us for another edition of whatever the heck this show is called. We got to come up with a name. If you have any ideas, post that in the comments. We will see you in about 28 minutes on TV, News 6, CBS affiliate out of the greater Central Florida area. And, of course, tomorrow, right back here for the live show, 10 p.m., Stay dry out there. Watch out for that lightning. It's out there late again tonight, guys.